Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay, here to talk a little bit about sad news to report on the death of a very transformational and generational figure in Ananda Lewis, former uh, MTV VJ slash BT host slash her own show. Um, yeah, she was very influential the uh, in the musical reporting scene, and she touched a lot of lives. She lost her life to breast cancer, unfortunately, losing her battle with breast cancer. Um, let's get into at least what's going on. Let's get into her life. Um, what was she about? Uh, when she passed away, she was 52 years old. Um, she is a two-time NAACP Image Award winner, and of course, like I said, an alumni of Howard University. Howard, for those that don't know, is like the Black Harvard, is the most prestigious HBCU, or one of the most prestigious HBCUs in the country, located in Washington D.C. She graduated from there. She's the oldest of two children. Uh, she was born in Los Angeles, California. Her father was in the tech industry, and her parents divorced when she was very young. Like I said, she got into the broadcast journalism industry, not in the music side really, but really working with BET Teen Summit, which was a show that she pioneered. And it was on this show. It was basically the format was a bunch of teenagers from around um, the the country get together and they get in this studio and they talk out issues that are facing young people. She got the inspiration from this because before college, um, she had worked with at-risk youth. So when she studied in broadcasting, she figured, hey, what's the best way to do the same exact work but use my broadcasting abilities to do it? And she decided that this show was great. And I used to watch this show a little bit, um, you know, when it was on the air. I don't really remember her, to be honest with you guys. I don't really remember. Maybe I remember her as the host, but I didn't pay too much attention to the host, more so the issues. But through this, she got a chance to interview several celebrities, including Louis Farrakhan, Hillary Clinton, when she was still first lady in the White House in 1996, and uh, a lot of influential people. Kobe Bryant during his first year in the NBA. This was on the air. From there, she went to work in MTV, and she was one of the original hosts of Total Request Live, along with Carson Daly. This was a very pioneering concept because for the first time ever, um, people could call in and request, as per the title says, what their favorite songs, what songs they want on this countdown request show. And MTV was moving its headquarters into Times Square. At this time, Times Square was undergoing a renovation, and MTV was the biggest one of the biggest attractions there. This show became, for this generation, for my generation, millennials, it became like their version of American Bandstand. It was where you heard the newest songs and you saw the newest videos. Unfortunately, Ananda had to come to blows with them because in 2001, August 25th, 2001, her longtime friend, um, Aaliyah, passed away in a tragic plane crash, right? and MTV was covering it in such a sort of way that was salacious, in a way that was trying to exploit it and trying to use it to get ratings. And Ananda just wasn't having it, and that caused them to split ways. Her caused her to leave MTV, and she started her own show called the Ananda Lewis Show. She started it on September 10th, 2001. Wow, what a date! September 10th, 2001. She started her own show a day before um, uh, 9/11. Her show went on. The Ananda Lewis Show went on for a couple of seasons. Then from there, yes. Um, because I mean, but like I get that she was upset that was her friend and everything, but at the same time, it all depends on how they were gonna cover it. You know what I mean? Because they did the same thing when Biggie and Tupac died. They did the same thing when Left died. You know what I mean? They're a music network. They have to cover these stories, but if they were going to try to paint it in a bad light that Aaliyah was a bad person or try to make a mockery of it like Star and Buck, then I understand her leaving, right? From there, she went to work for The Insider, which is a paper, doing more on the serious side of journalism. So, um, and then she recently was diagnosed with breast cancer. One of the things that's interesting is about her is that she had a speech impediment when she was younger, and it's cool to think that even though she had the speech impediments, that she overcame it and that she became a voice of a generation. You know what I mean? She became well renowned for her voice. She was first spotted as a video girl. That's how she broke into the business before um, the BUT thing. She was originally a video girl for the song by Shy called "Baby I'm Yours." Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right, Lisa. She was. It was. She was. They were best friends. Um, and maybe it wasn't even how they were covering it. It was just probably hearing about it all the time, like having to relive that trauma. You know, that would bother me too if it were my friend. Like I understand they have to cover it, but like I have to be the one. I'm one of the premier anchors at MTV. You have to be the one to sometimes report on it. And it's hard to maintain composure when the tragedy is so close to home. You know what I mean? And it's to be expected, you know. But yeah, she was in the Aaliyah tribute video uh, that DMX did for Aaliyah. She's in it. Um, I like I said, I never really, when I was younger, I didn't really learn the names of a lot of these VJs. I just watched them. Carson Daly, of course, I knew because he hosted. Um, the one Kurt Loder, I kind of known, but her I don't really remember. But when I first saw the graphic, I knew the face, but I really didn't know the name. You know what I mean. But I thought she kind of was. At first, I freaked out. I thought it was Chili from TLC because they kind of look alike. Hearing about this news. But she apparently touched a lot of people, you know, and yeah, they don't really do the VJ thing anymore like they used to. The VJs at MTV, Downtown Julie Brown, uh, she used to host The Grind, Kurt Loder, um, Matt Pinfield was another one, the little bald white guy. Um, yeah, MTV is a totally different entity now. It's not even about music anymore. But yeah, Also, she was involved with a lot of MTV specials, involved with a special on the Columbine shooting in 1999, and also involved with the the um, MTV My True Life, where they would follow somebody around in a real life scenario, and um, depending on the topic, like True Life, I'm a pro wrestler was one that aired in the summer of 1999. Well, with her, she did True Life Driving While Black. You know what I mean? About racial discrimination on the road and racial profiling. Lisa said she was diagnosed with cancer. She said she wasn't going to get treated. She was going to do stuff naturally, holistically. Yeah. I mean, some people opt for that. Me personally, I'm looking to get whatever. If I'm ever diagnosed with cancer, God forbid, I'm looking to get any kind of treatment that I can. I feel like she may have prolonged her life, but it's up to her, if she had used more conventional styles of medicine. But it's up to her again. If it's her life, she's an adult, she can decide, and she wanted to do things naturally, and that's, her prerogative, her choice. Um, October 2nd, 2020, Lewis revealed that she had breast cancer for 2 years. She said that she had an aversion to mammograms, led her to a late diagnosis, and begged, yes, please. So she begged the public to get screenings as soon as possible. Yes, please. Um, that was good thing. That was seemed like it was a good thing about her. She never stopped using her experience to alert the public and using her platform and podium to alert the public, whether she was talking about racial issues, police brutality, whatever, and in this case, cancer. She used her own experience to tell the people, tell women out there, get screening, go as often as possible when you get a certain age. Mammograms are necessary because they can prolong your life. Catching it early, that's the only way to beat cancer, guys, is catching it early. If you catch it early before it spreads, you have a chance to live. If not, then you don't. You know what I mean? So I agree with her on that. Using her personal tragedy as a platform to inform women to please get checked. You know what I mean? Breast cancer is no joke. Many of many of people have fallen ill to breast cancer. You know, please get tested. I know a lot of people don't like things like mammograms, pap smears, prostate exams in the case of men because they're really invasive. You know what I mean? They're dealing with your private parts, your breast, your vagina, your penis, your anus. You know what I mean? But please get them all checked because we want you to be around for as long as possible. Her herself, she has survived. Uh, she has survived by one child. Um, she has a child. She is Will Smith's sister-in-law because she has a child with Will Smith's brother Harry. You know what I mean? So basically, she is Will Smith's sister-in-law. She has six godchildren. Uh, her son is named Langston. She was in a reality show, Celebrity Mole Yucatan, which won the Emmy for Outstanding Achievement in Enhanced Television. Her awards include the Cable Ace Awards for Teen Summit and two, like I said, NAACP Image Awards for True Life I'm Driving While Black. Yeah. So she was deeply connected in the world of entertainment. Yeah, two I mean NAACP Image Awards and a Cable Ace Award. The Cable Ace Awards, wrestling fans will be familiar with that. WCW Monday Nitro used to get that award all the time. You know, from 1996 to 1997, they were given out to uh, cable shows that were outstanding, got outstanding ratings and outstanding content. And of course, that one there, True Life, you know, pointing to something that people weren't even really talking about necessarily after the Rodney King situation in the mid '90s when she did it in the mid to late '90s. You know, racial issues they were just bubbling under. People often say, "Oh, the '90s didn't have a lot of race problems." Like the mid late '90s didn't have a lot of race problems, but they did. But they were bubbling under the surface for that. And she also won an award being on a reality show. How about that? You know, that's rare. But yeah, they should bring a show like Teen Summit back. You know, kids have a lot to say, and a lot of times people don't listen to them. You know what I mean? And there are a lot of social issues. Like look at right now. Look at a show like how a show like Teen Summit will be beneficial. Many people are hashing these issues out with regards to immigration, with regards to black and brown relations, which is something that wasn't really talked about in the '90s, but did exist. Tensions and between the black and Hispanic community. I would love to see how the youth feel on situations like that. You know what I mean? They should. They should. Because you hear from a lot of adults when it comes to this issue about ICE and about the deportations and the riots and black and brown relations and black people's response to it or lack thereof to it. You know what I mean? But you don't really hear from the kids. Kids have a different perspective. You know, they have their own perspective. You know, shaped by their experience with LGBTQ issues, which really weren't brought up. You know, back then because of the taboo surrounding it. You know, people don't know in the '90s. Lisa can attest to this. Homophobia, LGBTQ issues, and homophobia was rampant in the '90s. You know what I mean? There was a lot of homophobia in the '90s, and they weren't prepared for that conversation, you know, back then. But today, could you imagine how much it would be forefront? The issue would be forefront. Police brutality is a lot worse now than it was, you know, back then. You know what I mean? Just in the 2010s, how a show like that we would have benefited from that. Imagine the discussions they be having around teenage sexuality, which was you know in the closet back then, both hetero and homosexual. You know, just a whole bunch of things that weren't really talked about publicly in the '90s that today society would benefit from a show like that. You know, and kids don't really talk to each other either. That's another thing. Everybody talking through text or through posts online, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You know what I mean? A show like that, they can do interactive too. Like in the new version, people will be able to make videos and post them about discussion topics too, maybe. You know what I mean? That's just an idea. But yeah, rest in peace to Ananda Lewis. I mean, it's sad whenever we lose one of our icons, you know, from our era, the millennial era. You know? A time when MTV, when it used to be better, when it came to MTV, it used to be a hell of a lot better. You know, we can only look back with nostalgia. Thank you, Lisa, for contributing. Thank you guys for watching. Rest in peace to Ananda Lewis.